Why are you excited to support Barbara Lee for U.S. Senate?
Barbara Lee's been my congresswoman for 25 years. In a quarter of a century, she has done nothing but fight for peace, justice, and equality for all people. The fact that I could support such a phenomenal American hero, a leader, put her in the Senate where no black woman is and none of our voices are heard right now, is a dream for me. I'm supporting her because we can make history.
What message would you like to share with your community, friends, and family members about United for Barbara Lee?
Barbara Lee has been standing up for communities for decades and decades. She's been at the forefront of creating policies that protect us, our neighborhoods, our families, and our communities. And it's time for us to show up and vote and turn out for Barbara Lee for our next U.S. Senate.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
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 I'm good.
And should I be holding this up the whole time we talk, or?
It's up to you. You can.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you when you hear that United for Barbara is a multiracial coalition of progressive voters formed to support Representative Lee?
Well, it means it's a great opportunity, and it's an important thing to stand up now and to have a woman of color be a senator representing me and my community here in California.
You both separately. We just want to get footage of people. Okay, you ready? It's good to see you both. You guys both have good energy. Why are you excited to support Barbara Lee for U.S. Senate?
You know, when I think about what this country needs, what this city needs, what this state needs, we need more people who are willing to tell the truth. We need more people who are willing to be unpopular, who are willing to take chances. And for me, I follow a person's trajectory. It doesn't get any better than Shirley Chisholm. That being your foundation, I know who you are. I know that I can trust you. I know that your values align with mine. And I know that we can sit at the table and disagree. That's the energy that I get from Barbara Lee. And so I just support this message.
What does it mean to you when you hear that United for Barbara Lee is a multiracial coalition of progressive voters formed to support Representative Barbara Lee?
When I hear that there is a coalition of multiracial people coming together to support and move forward with progression, it fills my heart with joy to know that we're at a place where we can all come together, setting aside all the things we feel are different, and if we mirror what Barbara Lee has shown us all this time is that we are one, we are the people, and we can do this together. So this is a moment to mirror her message and come together for the greater good of the people. So I fully endorse and I'm very excited to be here today. And this energy is so many gathered to support Barbara Lee.
what message would you like to share with your community, friends, and family members about United for Barbara Lee?
Barbara Lee truly speaks for all of us. We have an opportunity to elect a progressive black woman to the Senate. Not only does California deserve that kind of representation, but the country needs it at this moment. So we have a wonderful opportunity to show people that money doesn't vote, votes vote. We have those votes, and we can make sure Barbara Lee not only makes it through the primary, but wins the general election. It's time.
I'm just gonna ask you a question and you just respond. Okay? No, it's all good.
Rather than sit, you gotta get up closer.
Okay.
It's an easy question. Excited because of her long-term commitment to our community, advancing social justice, advancing environmental concerns, advancing criminal justice rights, human rights, and civil liberties. Her candidacy over the years has championed many issues that strike at the very heart of the problems that plague our community today. Barbara Lee is a candidate that we've always known for a very long time that has our back when she goes to the Capitol, and she's always going to return back with positive results, impacting our community in a great way.
Good morning, good people. Good morning, good people. I've been given a heads up that the mayor is going to be here in about 2 minutes. If I could get people to come gravitate toward the stage, please. This is called e-wrangling. And our gracious MC is going to stage us. Where do you let people know what you want?
James, I'm Amy. I didn't know who you were, but now I do. James, I'm Amy. Record just
Anybody else? Okay, here we are. We're here. They're first. No, I'll go first.
Okay.
We're here. We are here. We are here. Give me some love.
And right over here.
Beautiful.
We did it.
Thank you.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Happy Saturday.
Good morning. Come on. It's a great day for Barbara Lee. All right. If you can hear my voice, take 10 steps closer. Over here, kids, don't be shy. Come on in. Come on in. Thank you so much for joining us today at the kickoff, the launch of United for Barbara Lee. That is beautiful, beautiful San Francisco at the African American Art and Culture Complex. And we are here in San Francisco to tell California and the nation that Barbara Lee has the support of Black, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Latino, people of color throughout the nation, and that makes all the difference. We have a fantastic lineup of people to share their perspectives of why they are part of this effort. Starting with me, I'm fantastic. Kind of walked into that one. I'm Amy Allison, founder of She the People, which is a national organization uplifting women of color in places that we are not, and the Senate has no Black women. And my goal in life is to make sure that those who have stood with us and for us for justice are in the very places that we aren't right now. And today that means the United States Senate on behalf of the great state of California. Before I go any further, the Executive Director of the African American Art and Culture Complex, put your hands together as they welcome us.
Good morning, good day. My name is Melanie Green.
Greetings, my name is Melora Green.
And we're honored and excited to welcome you all here today as we stand united for Barbara Lee. The African American Art and Culture Complex has a rich history of doing just this for over 40 years, and today is no different. Come with your voice, your passion, make sure to share with others, and we're so excited to be here today as the space for this celebration and acknowledgement. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And we first just want to acknowledge that we are on the land of the indigenous people, the Ohlone. Just want to make sure we acknowledge that before we move on. One more time, let's bring back Amy Ellison.
I want to name the elephant in the room, which is, have you read the paper in the last 3 months? Have you read the paper about the Senate race in the last 3 months? There's something that's being said that we got to talk about. The thing is, California, the majority of people in this state are people of color. The most loyal Democrats are people of color and progressive white people, and we form a coalition that's very powerful in this bright blue state. That money doesn't win elections. It's not the only, it's at the end of the story in this state. And so the exciting thing and the opportunity for us is to tell the story about how from San Francisco to San Joaquin Valley, from Inland Empire to Los Angeles and all across our state, we are coming together across race to say one thing. We are united for Barbara Lee. And so, Barbara Lee has been my Congress member for 25 years. I've lived in Oakland, and I have seen her stand strong in the face of tremendous pressure, stand with us for peace when she took that singular vote against unchecked presidential powers in 2001. I saw her stand for LGBT community during the AIDS, in the height of the AIDS crisis. I saw her stand for reproductive rights when even people in her same party did not have the courage to do so. And I have seen her stand and stand again for us. She represents not only the present, but the future of California. And speaking of the present and the future, please put your hands together for our mayor, London Breed.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Amy, for your work and your advocacy. Thank you to Melanie and Melora Green for the work that they do every single day to make sure that the African American Art and Culture Complex is truly a place for artists and arts opportunities and creativity everywhere. It feels good to be home. This is my home. I spent my entire life in this community right up the street, and in fact spent a large amount of my time, not just here for 10 years as the executive director, but my childhood, learning that I probably decided it was best for me to go into politics rather than go into art. But you know, the fact that we had this opportunity in this community to explore that anything is possible, that we had the opportunity to just really be uplifted with community was something that I will always deeply be grateful for. But more importantly, the people who came before me, who had a chance to pave the way so that people like me could have an opportunity to explore all the options that I could explore in life. Why is that important? It's important because that's what Barbara Lee represents. Barbara Lee, some of you may not know, has roots. She has roots in San Francisco. Roots, for those of you who didn't understand the roots part, but she has roots in San Francisco. Well, she lived in Geneva Tower, in the public housing located in the Visitation Valley neighborhood, a place where she was the recipient of some of the benefits of government assistance, raising her boys as a single mom and understanding what it feels like to live and breathe the struggle and being able to be a voice and a force in that community when other kids did not have opportunities, wanting to make sure that places like this exist. And this is on the ground here in San Francisco. We lost her to Oakland, but I feel like it's been a gain for the country. And that is really why it's important that we stand here in San Francisco and Oakland and all over the Bay Area and up and down the state of California to make it clear that Barbara Lee speaks for each and every one of us. Because Barbara Lee understands how it feels to not only talk about the struggle and have empathy for the challenges that exist in communities like this, but to actually live in it and breathe in it and know why something is so significant. When policy is made, Barbara Lee is always making sure that she has a seat at the table so that even if she doesn't win the vote, even if she is the lone vote, she makes sure that her experience and understanding based on her lived conditions, that is at the table in the conversation, and that is what makes the difference here. Having the conversation, bringing the experience forward, making sure that someone is sitting in the room, and for example, especially when you're talking about women and women's rights, and our ability to decide what is best for our body. We shouldn't have to talk about why we may want to get an abortion. That is no one else's business. But the fact that people have taken away this particular basic fundamental health right that all women deserves makes it clear that you need more people like Barbara Lee at the table. Yes. Now more than ever. Yes. We thought Roe v. Wade could not be overturned, and time again throughout this country is being picked away, picked away, picked away. Various things. We talk about voting rights and all of the things that we fought for. African Americans led to ensure that we had the basic fundamental right to decide who our elected leaders should be. Chipped away time and time again with various kinds of new creative policies with hidden messages and different meanings, and soon as you walk through the door, well, you need X, Y, Z to vote. It's like, well, when did this requirement come up? When did this happen? And people like Barbara Lee, they look into the specifics of legislation and they pick it apart so that it does not disproportionately impact communities that tend to get the short end of the stick. And that's why we need Barbara Lee in Congress. We need her in Congress and the U.S. Senate so that we can have a voice. Now, the House of Representatives over the years has become increasingly diverse. More and more women are at the table. No, we are not where we should be as it relates to the demographics of the country, but we're in a better place. But the U.S. Senate, they don't want to open that door. They don't want to provide an opportunity for someone like Barbara Lee, who we know is amazing and courageous, to step in there and have those hard conversations and not only represent the people in the state of California, but the people all over the United States. We need her voice when we're being challenged more than ever before. We need her voice now more than ever before. So we appreciate all of the work and the advocacy that many of the folks who are going to be doing here today. But we got to make sure that we spread the message all up and down the state of California. You know, Karen Bass proved that money can't buy elections in Los Angeles. And Barbara Lee is going to do the same thing. Barbara Lee has been an amazing mentor. She's been an amazing friend. She's been an amazing leader. And I know that with someone like her at the table, there is no doubt that our country will change for the better. So I'm asking all of you to continue to push for her, support her, uplift her, encourage her, and come together. And the last thing I'm going to say is the fact that we have a coalition of people from both the African American community and our API community, this is tremendous in San Francisco. This is how we come together. This is what Barbara Lee does. She builds bridges, not just the Golden Gate and the Bay where you cross to come into these different neighborhoods, but she really, truly builds bridges with people because she understands that it's not just about a Black agenda. It's about making sure that all communities are a part of the conversation and no one's voice gets left out. And that's why we need Barbara Lee in the United States Senate. Thank you all for being here today.
Give it up. San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Let me hear it. Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee. Speaks for me. Speaks for me. Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee. Speaks for me. Speaks for me. All right, I'm going to bring to the stage Stephen Gong, who is our next speaker. He's got a hashtag for the culture.
Thank you very much. I stand before you here as a fifth-generation Asian American, Chinese American, and here in the state of California. My great-great-grandparents came here in the 1850s, defining, changing, creating a whole new story for our family. By the way, they were Lees, you know? Anyway, you know, I have a lot of privilege of those decisions made 5 generations ago. I got a great education at UC Berkeley. I now live in Oakland, where Barbara Lee is my congresswoman, and I have been a grateful constituent of Barbara Lee's because I have absolutely seen the integrity and the moral center of this leader. I want to mention a couple of things from my life experience of why I believe the Asian American community needs to step up and support Barbara Lee for the Senate. The work I've been engaged in has always revolved around identity and telling stories about our experiences. If we don't tell our own stories, someone else will tell it about us, and we won't like the result. We've faced exclusion. We've faced being thought of as lesser people. Culture wars framed so much of my lived experience, and they're back again in the strongest way. Truly, it's for someone whose moral ethos was formed during the civil rights movement that absolutely changed the whole course of my life. I think we are in a time of terrible peril. We know that. But it's also a time of tremendous opportunity. This is a transformational generation that's coming up. And one of the things that so gladdens my heart in looking at it is the way our young people do not see color and difference in the same way that my generation saw. We have to play our part, though, the entire range of generations. California can lead the way that this country becomes. And the stakes have never been higher. The Asian American community, as we know, I'll try to wrap this up, the Asian American community represents all of America in the most amazing ways. We have some of the greatest privilege of education and wealth. But many parts of our community also face the harshest discrimination. The last 3 years of anti-Asian hate has awoken the Asian American community that our privilege cannot be borne on the backs of other communities. We have to break this cycle. We must not be a wedge community. We have to stand up for the true American dream of diversity, that people of different backgrounds can form a more perfect union. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen Gong. And now what I would like to do is to say, one of the things that the papers need to print is the fact that California, from the Oregon border to the Mexican border, has a power that has not been acknowledged. It's a power in community groups. It's a power of groups that serve specific communities. It serves cities or regions. And often, these groups are incredibly powerful. They move votes, and yet are not part of the story yet. And so for Stephen, to your point, we have to be part of that story. And here to tell us more about that is the Executive Director of the California Donor Table, Ludovic Blaine.
Hey, folks. Ludovic Blaine from the Executive Director of the California Donor Table. We're the longest standing donor collaboration in the country, giving money to progressive communities of color, organizations, candidates, and independent expenditures. We've moved more than $50 million over the last almost 20 years, including about $15 million in the last 2-year cycle. We've shown, and I'll say ironically, as the head of the California Donor Table, that money is part of power, but votes can trump money. And we've seen candidates, particularly women of color candidates across the state, show that votes count more than money. Both, as the mayor mentioned, Karen Bass, winning over an incredibly spending Rick Caruso, who spent like presidential levels of money in a mayoral race just in 1 year. But folks like Monica Montgomery in San Diego, Eloise Gomez-Reyes in the Inland Empire, Holly Mitchell, Eunices Hernandez, and other folks in LA, District Attorney Diana Becton, who's here with us today, and Contra Costa, folks, Tamisha Torres in Antioch. In particular, black and brown women across the state have shown that when communities come together, they can weigh in and weigh more than moneyed interest. Barbara Lee speaks for me legally. I'm a constituent. But she actually speaks for all of us in the state, even in the House. And we deserve the representation that Barbara Lee can have for us, in particular at a time when the country is having a racist backlash. The antidote to that is electing folks like Barbara Lee. So not only does California deserve the representation of Barbara Lee, but the country needs that representation in the Senate. And so we're going to be working to raise the money that it takes to make sure that voters know they have that chance. And we hope that that coverage in media shows that there are multiple people running, and one of them speaks for all of us, and that's Barbara Lee. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Ludovic. Ludovic Blaine, you're going to hear much more this election cycle from Mr. Ludovic. Ludovic mentioned a very special elected official here from Contra Costa County who overcame money and a tax and was the first black woman to hold the DA role. Diana Becton, come on down.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I am so happy to be here as we're kicking off this grassroots movement to support Barbara Lee as our next United States Senator from California. I don't have to tell you all that Barbara Lee is a tireless advocate for the people. She is a highly experienced leader and a progressive candidate of color with a tremendous track record for social change. And we know that a multiracial base of women voters, voters of color, and progressive voters will turn out and vote for Barbara Lee. You know, this is a really important moment in our history. And as a woman of color, I understand the importance of representation in government, and I am really proud to stand here today to support Barbara Lee as our next senator. So I want to take a moment just to emphasize the role and the impact of women leaders like Kamala Harris, Karen Bass, London Breed, Fiona Ma, Malia Cohen, Mia Bonta, Helen Tran, and so many other elected women of color, because our influence and our contributions cannot be ignored. And now it is critical that we elect an African-American woman, a socially conscious base of voters are we, donors, change makers, and we stand united with Barbara Lee. So we need Barbara Lee. She's a proven track record of fighting for communities and advocating for policies that uplift all Californians. Barbara Lee has been a leader in the fight for social justice, not just today, but for decades. And so with her experience, with her passion, with her dedication, Barbara Lee is the perfect candidate to represent all of us. She has the vision, she has the leadership, the skills needed to make the next change happen for our communities. And so with all of our support, we can ensure that she has the resources, the money, and the momentum and the votes to make this race one that goes down in the history books. So let's stand together as a community. Let's rally behind Barbara Lee, and let's show that communities of color are not only important, but that we're powerful. Together, we're gonna make a difference, and we're gonna create a better future for all of Californians. Let's stand together, because I stand here, and please stand with me. I support Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee stands for me. Thank you.
I'm just going to hold a sign up. It's also for the culture. All right, all right. I want to introduce Irene Cow, who is the executive director of Courage California, Courage Campaign, who moves voters, moves hearts, and moves minds throughout our great state. Irene?
Good morning, and thank you, Amy. I'm proud to stand here today alongside my friends, my colleagues, my community members. I'm also proud to here to represent my community in Oakland. I've lived in Oakland for 11 years. Barbara Lee has spoken for me for those 11 years. When I think of where I live in the Fruitvale neighborhood in Oakland, we are people of indigenous, immigrant backgrounds. We speak all different languages. This is the richness of a neighborhood and community that Barbara Lee has helped to make possible. So that's why I stand here with you today. She embodies what Oakland, what California, and the nation are all about diverse communities coming together to push for social change. Barbara Lee has channeled her immense and powerful personal story into being a real champion for compassionate policies that protect and empower the most impacted communities like us. She's rejected war, violence, hate, and discrimination, and given us the power and the resources we need for our neighborhoods, our schools, our workplaces, our homes, and at the ballot box. Speaking personally as a woman of color in politics,
Barbara Lee is a source of inspiration and a source of aspiration. To be a champion for decades and decades, to not rest on your laurels, to keep fighting the good fight, even in the face of all the battles, all the enemies, all the hate that she's been subject to. She has been at the leading edge of making our government work for the people, earning the respect and loyalty of so many of us. And we are ready to turn out to vote for Barbara Lee as our next U.S. Senator. So join me in uniting for Barbara Lee today.
Thank you so much, Irene. All right, last but not least, we've been talking about moving votes. How many votes do we need to win this primary? Just throw out a number. How many votes do we need to win this primary? A lot of those votes are going to come out of Contra Costa County. Northern California is going to be very major. And the guy to tell us more is James Herrod out of Contra Costa County. Lift up, lift up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is James Herrard. First of all, I'm an organizer, a community activist, and a community partner. Today, I'm humbled to expound on the virtues of a remarkable person whose unwavering commitment to principles of justice, social equity, and human rights have been unseen by many in our community today. A person who has fearlessly taken on the most formidable forces in our society and whose resolve to advance the most common good earned our unwavering admiration from grassroots organizations and the trust of our communities, and the person is Barbara Lee. As a member of the U.S. Congress, Barbara Lee has demonstrated time and time again her steadfast commitment to justice, equality for all. She has been a tireless advocate for the underprivileged and marginalized and oppressed, and has championed causes that are vital for the progress of our society. However, it's not just her track record and achievements that renders Barbara Lee an exceptional candidate, it's also her vision for the future. There has been a lot of talk about who's going to win these primary elections based on how much money they can raise. But the voices of this community has not been interjected into this fight just yet. Our community cannot be bought. Our votes cannot be bought. Our sentiments and our pain cannot be bought. It has to be earned. It has to be earned through steadfast commitments and understanding what are the most needed things that our communities are deprived of, what are the things our communities are looking to help advance in education, health care, and also elderly care. It is also those opposing forces who seek to take away our most precious basic human rights. This campaign reminds me of another disruptive campaign a few years ago, the Bernie Sanders campaign. The difference in that campaign and this one is that Barbara Lee can not only unite the left, but she can galvanize a coalition of women of color to bolster that coalition and build a real campaign that speaks for all of us. So, thank you. Congresswoman Barbara Lee's dedication to social justice is unequivocal, and her accomplishments set a precedent for transformative change. So I stand here today asking you to join me in supporting Barbara Lee for U.S. Senate. Yes.
All right. All right, you heard from the mayor, you heard from the DA, you heard from the organizers. And we're just getting started. I want to shout out my partners behind the scenes, Andy and Chris and Pierre and everyone who made today go beautifully. And I want to ask that if you have a sign, you come up on stage. Let's take some photos. We're just getting started. Let's take some photos together. You can take a selfie here. Let's all come. And I think Halima, I want to thank Halima. She raised her hand. She'll guide you to the front. Let's just take some photos together. We're united for Barbara Lee.
I took some.